Welcome back to Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and in today's show, we're going to talk about how Todd Monken maximized his roster by using everybody on that roster. We're going to take a look at a new record for Derrick Henry. We're going to take a look at the defensive from the Bills and from the Ravens and see how they're going in opposite directions. We're also going to look at some EPA stats to show the turnaround in the Baltimore Ravens defense. Welcome back to Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans. Let's go. All right, now when I say Todd was in his bag, he was in his bag. He used all of his weapons to do multiple things throughout the game. One of the main weapons, Derrick Henry. We all know what he can do, but Todd put him in the shotgun, put Lamar in motion, and got this out of him. Got a huge game. Something he's been holding on to for most of the season. We've only seen Derrick Henry in the Wildcat once this season. Another weapon he took advantage of. And again, he used them all, just maximized them all out. Is Rashad Bateman. We know Rashad Bateman is one of the best guys at getting open. Great separation, great route runner. He was on nightcap last night, so you can go check that out. But that little post route deep in the end zone for a touchdown. Again, using everybody on the roster. Right here. Who is this? Miller. Anthony Miller. On this snag route. You know, with Zay being out, you have to find guys to make up for that production that Zay gave you. Right there, you got a little quick route by Miller. Josh Jones as the sixth offensive lineman. Quick, agile dude that started a lot of games for Houston last year. Was able to come in and, play some quality snaps as that sixth offensive lineman. Nelly, on a little scramble drill, got open. The way the routes combination set up, once he caught it, he had two blockers and Mark and Likely for a 25-yard gain. Another guy that we hadn't seen in a while, which was Nelly. He was hurt, and then we just didn't have use for him. On this one, you got Mark. Mark's going to stay in and chip TJ Watt. Then he's going to kind of just hit the open space, and Lamar finds it for a big gain. Then on this one, you got Justice Hill. Justice Hill been out for a while. Finally came back. He's going to help him pass pro in this touchdown right before the halftime. Trying to help with Watt. Roger Rosengarten didn't need it. He seeks out in the flats. Lamar catches him for a touchdown with like 2 or 3 seconds left. Don't forget about Tylen Wallace. This was a huge first down. It was 2nd and 20. 2nd and 20. They ran a little, I want to say it was a smash concept. Yep, little smash concept. They doubled the smash. He just dropped it down. Wallace fought for the first down. Again, using everybody at his disposal on the roster. Everybody. Nobody had this great game, but everybody do your job, we'll be good. Right here, you got Steven Sims, the newly acquired Steven Sims. Put him in motion, get a little jet sweep that Zay normally gets, and you're really just trying to replace Zay's production with multiple people. And that's what he did. And I ain't saying replace it with our big guns, but with Steven Sims and Anthony Miller, that's how you reduce production. And last but not least, Isaiah Likely. Likely with a huge catch right here. Likely also had a couple of embarrassing moments on Sutton. That catch is on Sutton as well. So Todd used all of his weapons and got the most out of all these guys in that playoff game, and that's what you got to do. Use every tool in your tool belt to get a victory. Next up, I picked up this little tidbit from X, and it's originally from Ken McCusick for Film Study Ravens. Shout out to Ken for all the work that he does over there at Film Study Ravens. And it's about Derrick Henry. It says Derrick Henry is now tied for the all-time NFL lead with 4 playoff games with 150 rushing yards. Only 8 running backs in NFL history have more than one playoff game with 150 yards rushing. Among the other 7, all but Le'Veon Bell are in the Hall of Fame. Derrick Henry, the list goes. 4, he's tied with Terrell Davis, the Bronco great that helped the Broncos get their Super Bowls back when they, back end of John Elway's career. Derrick Henry. That's the record he tied. Derrick Henry, Terrell Davis. Also on that list, Franco Harris, John Riggins, Marcus Allen, Eric Dickerson, Thurman Thomas, Le'Veon Bell, and Elmer Axman. Now, I know everybody on this list, but Elmer Axman, 1947. Yeah, that's 30 years for me, buddy. But I appreciate you, Ken, for dropping this on X, and I just wanted to share it with you guys today. All right, this next one. And we all know analytics have kind of taken over the NFL, and EPA is one of the main ones. And so what this graph shows is the Bills defense and the Ravens defense kind of having the same statistical EPA at week 19, but going in different directions. You'll see from the jump, from week 2, the Bills are way up there, way at the top of the charts in defensive defensive EPA. But when you look at the Ravens, we're way toward the bottom. And you know we were ranked 32nd in the pass, 20-something in total defense for a long time. So as the season went on, you see the Bills' defense got worse. The Ravens' defense got significantly better starting at week 11. And now they're pretty much essentially in the same spot going into the divisional round of the playoffs. Shout out to Zach Orr and the defensive staff for getting that turnaround and mixing and matching guys and putting them where they need to be and getting rid of guys that don't need to be there. Shout out to you, Zach, because I figured it would be some bumps in the road with Zach being new. I didn't think we would be as bad as we were, but like my man Drake say, better late than never to get your stuff together. Now on this chart, when you have defensive EPA and offensive EPA, you see what the Bills are and the Ravens, kind of in the same spot. Now, when you look at charts like this, the top right quadrant is where you want to be. Those will be your best teams depending on what statistics they put, on the X and Y axis. The top left, meaning they would be good at one particular stat. The bottom right would be good at the opposite stat, and then the bottom left, you don't want to be there, because that means whatever you're trying to measure, you kind of suck at it. But both teams in this case are in the top right quadrant of NFL tiers. So you got defensive EPA and then offensive EPA. So that's good for us offensively and defensively, because it looks like a pretty evenly matched squad. Now that last one was for the whole season. And you saw they're in the same spot for the whole season. Look where they're at, the difference in where they're at when you just do weeks 1 through 10. The Bills are still kind of in the same spot. Right above my head a little bit. Let's see. The Bills are still in it, right there. Right above my head. The Ravens, right there. So weeks 1 through 10, they were nowhere close to each other. But then you go back to as the full year, we made up a huge gap, the huge difference in weeks 11 through 18. And this last thing I'm going to show you deals with EPA as well from the Wild Card Weekend round of the playoff. This is all the teams that were involved in the Wild Card Weekend and their total EPA versus total pass EPA versus total rush EPA. And the Baltimore Ravens, if we were playing slots, we win a jackpot because we were 7th in all categories. Defensive EPA total, 7th with 0.11. When you go over the pass EPA, 7th. And keep in mind, I know we're 7th on the main list, but when you go and chart them and see which ones come to mother, we're still 7th as well. And defensive pass EPA, 7th, negative 2.46. And then you slide on over to rush EPA. We're 7th in that as well with 1.71 EPA. So, again, lucky 7s for us. Hopefully that keeps being a positive thing for us going forward. And all these different analytics and all these different models that they throw out there, they're very helpful when looking at who really gets the job done and kind of takes you below the surface level of just watching the ball during the game. So this is just wanted to bring these little stats out and try to do a little something different from what everybody else was doing. That's all I got for you today on this episode of Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans. And again, if you made it this far, like the video. If you like the video, consider subscribing. Hit that bell so you can be notified when the rest of this content drops. And I appreciate everybody for watching the video yesterday with Chris Bouchard and his song and dance. YouTube made me take it out of my video. So if you go looking for it, it's gone. But if you watched it on X, it's still there on X. But it was extremely funny to hear Chris Broussard with his backup singers yesterday, man. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace and love.